So this is not our regular intro because we've done this. This is our third time.
Yeah.
Angelique Velez, welcome to Deserts to Mountaintops. Um, Podcast. I just sometimes I don't understand technology. It's great when it works, and I hate it when it doesn't. Um, but welcome for the third time.
Thank you, Jess. I'm very excited to be here and it's all good. I feel like, as I mentioned to you before, I feel like it's just you and I with technology from the beginning, we've had
We
issues. So,
we have had issues, but you know what? Like, to be fair to you, I feel like it was user problem with me. I remember we first connected. I sent you the wrong phone number because I was texting you or emailing you from my phone and I didn't have my glasses on.
yeah.
So, but I will say that this whole Zoom debacle thing, I'm not going to claim like full responsibility for it because I just can't figure out what's going on.
No, it's definitely not your fault. Third time's a charm. This one's going to be awesome and this one's going to land right.
Okay,
So,
well, to be honest, I'm deeply, deeply grateful and enjoying these conversations that I get to have with you because you're just so awesome. So thanks for coming on again and taking care of the recording. So, okay, like let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about your chapter. Let's talk about your desert. And I can't really say moment because I feel like it was kind of like an era,
yeah.
right? And so, and then your mountaintop, and then what the writing process has been like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. It's been an era. I'm still going through my moment. So for me and my chapter, it's a little bit different. I'm a makeup artist. I've been doing makeup for almost 20 years or a little over 20 years at this point, not to age myself. But when I was growing up and I was younger, I never quite felt beautiful. I never quite felt like I fit
Mhm.
in. I never quite felt quote unquote normal, which I feel like none of us feel normal, which is like spoiler
No.
alert.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I'd
that
love to meet somebody who felt normal.
right. But unless you have these conversations, it's so funny because even within writing my chapter and then having people from like high school reading it, and they're like, "Oh my God, Angelique, I felt the same way," and I'm like, "You did?" Because
Yeah.
you did not appear like it. I literally thought I
Mhm.
was the only one that felt like I stood out
Mhm.
and just didn't fit in. And so it's amazing how so many of us have such like a similar journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you don't talk about it, if you don't share your story, people will never know, you
Right.
know? So for
Right.
me, that was like a huge hurdle, like getting right to the writing process. That was a big, big, big hurdle of mine, was being honest and vulnerable within my writing.
Mhm.
um because you have to open up and you have to really share your story and remember those hard times and remember the
Mhm.
things that you went through. And that's, it's hard to deep dive, but it was very cathartic as well. It was very therapeutic. Like, I'm so happy that I did it. But for me, that's kind of like my desert moment, like never feeling quite beautiful. And then ironically enough, fast forward, I enter into the beauty industry. That's my career. This is my
I,
job. This is what I do. So it's almost like holding a mirror in front of me and having to see
yeah.
all those aspects of myself and accepting myself for who I am and who I will be and all the things, and loving myself in every aspect of my journey. So I know that was
Yeah.
huge, but I hope that answered the question.
It totally did. I mean,
Okay.
it's such like irony, right? Like it's, very poetic in the sense that you've spent all this time looking in the mirror, feeling like you're different, that you don't fit in, that you don't belong.
Mhm.
And then you end up in a career where you're spending all day in front of a mirror and talking to some of the world's most beautiful icons
Yeah.
are feeling the exact same way.
That part, Jess. That's the part that literally blows my mind every time, because I feel like the general public doesn't realize that. Like,
Mhm.
I'm able to have like a look into the looking
Yeah.
glass, or however you want to put it, where I get to see these individuals, people that we deem so beautiful, and they
Mhm.
go through the same things that we go through. Especially feeling not so beautiful, feeling ugly, if I can even say that. So
That
seeing,
is mind-boggling.
yeah. And then seeing that within them really helped me take a good, deep, long look at myself and my life. And it really, it's amazing to me, like the journey that I've been on when I look back, you know, because I would have never thought that that's what would have led me to do like self-reflection.
Right. I mean, what a way to go, right?
Right. Exactly.
At least you were getting
Exactly.
paid for it. But
Right.
so, like, here's the thing, like, so it's interesting because I feel like you could have gone a couple of different ways. You could have like looked at them and thought, well, if they don't feel beautiful, then I'll never measure up,
Right.
right? How were you able to make that shift then and say like, well, if they feel that way and they're so beautiful, then I must be beautiful too.
I love this question. So for me, I would say it really is, and I use this analogy a lot, like going to the gym. It's working a muscle. So
Hmm.
it's not like that they don't feel beautiful in the end. It's almost like steps that they go through to get to be the persona that they're showing us.
Okay.
So these specific steps, one has to deal with having a glam squad at your fingertips, like people that come to you, make you, you know, your hair look a certain way, your makeup look a certain way, your wardrobe looking a certain way, so that way you can personify whatever this individual inside of you is and
Hmm.
really have that like exude through you. So
Hmm.
seeing that part showed me that we can all actually do it.
Okay.
That
But
makes
I
so
don't have a
much
glam squad.
difference. Right. For yourself, though. I know. I don't either. I'm my own glam squad, right? But in my head, it's almost like, who do I want to be today? Like, what character am I portraying today? Like, today for this interview, I told you earlier, my son has his very first school dance today, you guys. So I'm letting my hair actually air dry. So I'm on here with like wet hair because I have a specific look in mind that I want to go for. I want it big and like curly. So I have to let it air dry. So I had to come on the interview with it like this.
I love it.
But in my head, I know like my end result is. I feel like we can all like set certain goals in our lives, but we never really look at beauty in that way. But mind you, to me, it's very similar because we have highs and lows within our journeys. Like some
Hmm.
days we're feeling great, and then some days we're not. And on
Yeah.
the days we're not, we just have to work a little bit harder to feel on the way that we feel on the days where we are feeling good, if that makes sense. So again, like a
Mhm.
working muscle.
Yeah.
Um, and not to say that we're always going to feel that way, but I do at this point in my journey realize it is a process. I just don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so beautiful today. Let me just hit the ground running.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
wake up and look at myself and think, I'm always like, damn, your glory days are over.
Especially at the age that we're at, right?
I
Like,
know it's so hard. Can we spend a minute talking about that?
yeah,
Like, and from like a like kind of practical perspective, I feel like I hear this a lot from my girlfriends. I'm in my mid 40s, right? Like, we don't know what to do. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to say we because I feel like I have a pretty solid like style and a look that I like to go for. I know that about myself because I'm a creative person, but I feel like there's a lot of my friends like our bodies are changing.
yeah,
We're perimenopausal. We don't know what we can wear. We don't know where to shop. We don't know what looks good on us,
yeah,
what doesn't look good on us. We don't feel good in anything.
right.
So like how like what do we how do we help?
Yeah. And then if I can add to that as well, because I know for me and a lot of my friends, the journey that we've been on, it's almost like also since if you are a parent having kids, like,
Yes.
you lose yourself within that too. It's like, what
Yeah.
happened to that 20-year-old, 30-year-old
Yeah.
woman? Like, where did
Yeah.
she go? So
Yeah.
for me, honestly, it was a whole journey of self-discovery, where I literally had to like try new things on again because the things that I used to wear, straight down to like my footwear, for example. I'm from New York, born and raised. Timberland boots, for example, are like a staple in my wardrobe in the wintertime. Now, mind
Uh-huh.
you, when I put them on, I believe around 2 years ago, they hurt me to the point, Jess, that I cannot wear them anymore. Like that's just gone from my staple, which I know sounds so silly, but rock with me on this because
Yeah,
it's something
yeah.
I always wear. Even like like used to wear very big hoop earrings, and that was part
Yeah.
of my people. They're
Yeah.
solid gold, 14 karat. All of a sudden, they just started tarnishing my ears. I'm like, what is going on? Like they always fit me. So it literally was like things that I like relied on so much
Yeah.
being ripped from me. So I'm like, okay. I have to find new things now. And that's the thing. And it's a daunting process. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's like literally going through your entire wardrobe all over again and reinventing yourself, almost like a
Yeah.
rebrand.
Yeah.
But if you can look at it in a positive way, it's kind of fun if you can switch your mindset around. But at first,
Right.
I was like, what is going on? I don't like any of this. Nothing fits. Like, I don't feel the same.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, I literally got rid of everything. And right now I'm in this new era where like I'm trying out new things. I have bangs now. I'm trying out different hair color. Like I'm
Every
trying
time I talk to you, which has been a lot because, you know, we can't figure out the tech on this, you,
yeah.
you have a different look.
Yeah. I'm trying things out. So I'm like leaning on certain things and certain things I'm like, oh, let me try this out again. And I'm embracing it now and I'm actually loving it. Cause it's like every time again, like I think about myself, if my life was a movie, I'm the main character. And I feel like we all should think this way, where if our life is a movie, we are the main character. We are the celebrity. We are the main character of our story, always.
Mhm.
So what am I portraying that day? Like, so a couple hours ago, I was in PJ mode, still in my PJs, hair in the top knot. Like I was portraying that person, and that's fine too. And if I didn't have my son's dance, I might have stayed in that, or this interview with you today, that persona might have stayed all day. That might have been my
Yeah.
character for the day.
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of lull and it's depressed Angelique that day. Honestly, like I love
Yeah.
embracing all aspects of ourselves. You know what I mean? At this
Well,
point,
and that's just like the whole point of radical self-acceptance
yeah,
is like acknowledging that there are so many different, I love the word persona that you use, but there are so many different versions and we're going to
yeah,
show up in it as a different version of ourselves every day. Like I've been really, I think accepting, like, I just don't have 100% energy to give every day. And it's
yeah,
okay. You
yeah.
know, I just can't like hustle all
No,
the time. Like, I just kind of like right now just feel like, not right now in this minute, but like, you know, after this, I, I feel like going and laying down and having a nap and it's okay.
yeah,
Right. So I think that that's the whole point of radical self-acceptance. So like, you know, your story was different than a lot of the other stories in deserts to mountaintops. So what was the writing process like for you?
well, first of all, I want to say, in case there is someone out there who's like thinking about writing and they're not sure if they should do it, I honestly did. Even before coming in and joining the group and doing my story, I didn't think my story was good enough until I talked to you and then you kind of walked me through the process. So I
Mhm.
feel like if you have like that fire, that desire inside of you, please go with it because there's a reason why
Yeah.
it's planted in there. And I didn't think my story was good enough either. But in regards to the writing process itself, like I mentioned before, it's cathartic, but it is hard. Like you
Yeah.
have to keep going. Your first draft is going to be pulled apart, broken apart. Thanks, Jess.
That's
Everything,
what I do best.
yes, but you're amazing at it. And everything you thought it was going to be kind of like life is not what it is in the end. But in the
Mhm.
end, it's such a beautiful project, if I can say that. Like it's such a beautiful outcome, but the
Yeah.
process itself is very, very difficult. It will break you open in
Mhm.
ways that you never anticipated. Like it was
Yeah.
hard. There were
Yeah.
probably like two or three times where I wanted to give up. But I was like, no, I need to do this. And I'm so happy that I did not give up and that I
I'm so happy you didn't either because
yeah,
I really think that your story is very important. I do think it's something that we kind of like talk about, but we don't really get to the heart of the issue.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, it affects us all,
Yes.
right?
It's hilarious. Like when we not to, I'm sorry if I interrupted you, but when we were doing the video, and the cameramen were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I'm like, thank
Yes.
you. Like, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. All of it. Well, and I was curious, I was going to ask you, like, is this something that you experience just with women?
No,
Yeah.
at all. Actually, some of my male clients are the most difficult. Not difficult, that's horrible to say.
No, but
Not
just like,
difficult, but like
yeah,
they need a lot of like I'm trying to find the right word, saying it
support,
nicely. Yes,
support.
like you're amazing. Like you look great. Nope, those aren't bags under your eyes. You look good. Like don't worry. You know what
But
I
what if they
mean?
are?
Like We think it's just a women thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
honestly isn't. I mean, think about having to be in front of the camera, living your life in front of a camera. How hard is, I know, like, as a society, I feel like we give celebrities and actors, actresses, models so much I don't know. We give them a hard time sometimes.
I think so. Well, like, okay, I'm not a celebrity, but I am in front of people a lot.
Yeah.
And so I remember having this very illuminating moment. And this is so sad, but I was getting dressed for a funeral. And I remember having like this huge like feeling of relief, like just sagging in relief, knowing that I could go to my closet and put something on and no one was going to be looking at me. I was in the background. No one cared if I was there. No one was going to be scrutinizing me or looking at me or anything. And I thought, wow, that is shocking
Yeah.
that I'm going to a funeral and that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Like I can just blend into the background. So in a way, like I mean, I think in some ways I stopped speaking professionally for a while because I was so sick of people looking at me
Yeah. Yeah.
and so sick of
Get it.
worrying about what I look like.
Yes.
Kind of just wanted to put and that was like that version of me that I needed to have for a while in order to heal was to put my sweatpants on and go sit and eat bags of potato chips. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that's what self-care looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And your own piece, like by yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
Um, well, I adore you. And I had this idea hatching that we'll talk about offline, but I would love to like have you come to the DC area for an event and help like all of us figure out how to feel like our best selves. Like how to dress. What do we
Yeah.
do? Like, I could totally see an event like that happening in
I
terms
would
of
love
radical
that.
self-acceptance. Okay, well, let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yes.
Angelique, you're just a shining bright star. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that our orbits have, intersected and sometimes collided. and,
Right.
and beautiful things have come out of it. And just thank you for what you're doing for women everywhere.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Jazz. Thank you for all that you're doing. And thank you for pushing me and having my back through the entire process. Because another thing I feel like that we don't really talk about in regards to like even writing, like you're still going through life as you're writing the book, right? Or writing the chapter, whatever it is. So things are going on all around you and you need to focus. So having you there as like a foundation or someone that we could lean on. Oh my gosh, I could not have done it without you at all. So thank you for everything.
Well, it's my honor.